Everywhere I look among my colleagues and friends, I see people who are overwhelmed and stressed out at work, despite the fact that they have more digital tools than ever before, often work in comfortable offices or have possibility to work from home or from the office. Still, they feel like their productivity is not fully optimized. So today, I hope to discover why most of people feel this way at work and what can we do about it. My guests have more than 10 years of experience in the field of work management. And today, we're going to discuss different ways of working strategies. Jerker Davidsson and Magnus Bornäs, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
I'm so pleased we're going to discuss this very important topic today that affects, I would say, most of us. And to open this discussion, I would like to hear your view on the challenges we face in the modern work environment.
We usually need to interact with other people, and we want to interact with positive, constructive people, right, during the workday. So we have interactions, but we still have the direction. And the best days are when we can celebrate and tick things off, when we can celebrate the wins together. So that's a good day. Unfortunately, what we see because of the connectedness, which is the main factor here, is a very hyperactive, scattered workday where we are just starting and stopping. It's up and down, it's back and forth. It's a lot of reactiveness going on. So that's the main challenge that we hear from people when we ask them, when we have asked them during the years, is that my main challenge is that I'm just toggling between different things all the time.
And I'm sure you hear a lot of comments like, I don't know where the time goes. I never have enough time to do everything I need.
Yeah. We think we lack time, but it's actually what's going on here is that we lack attention. We are between things. We are not in things, working with them from a focus perspective. So we are wasting a lot of our mental resources, and then the experience will be that we lack time. So that's interesting. And this, of course, affects very much the productivity from you as an individual, but also the team, and also very much the social connection. So we are not connecting as human beings. So loneliness is a problem that is increasing in this hyperactive work environment.
And then it's not surprising that we all feel stressed out at the end of the day after such red line day.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's sad is that is actually the normal workday for many people.
Of course, if you're the younger generation, you're born with more or less a smartphone in your hand, so you're not afraid of IT solutions in the same sense. But we can see that you don't know so much about how to handle complex work or change your focus. So it's about the same, that we don't really understand how we are behaving or how we could be really effective at work. And a lot of organizations, they're not really prepared to take those younger generations aboard because they need something other in their onboarding or leadership programs and so on, because they behave a little bit different. So we need to change and to be aware of that. But I think it's all about focus, and we can see that all through generations that this is a common problem.
Yeah, and our brain didn't change for 100,000 years. So it's a bit unrealistic to expect that last 20 years since we start using technology at a high level, we would see enormous changes.
Yes. We have a quicker development on the IT side, of course, than we have in the brain's perspective. Yeah,
right.
So that's important to understand. But we know more than ever about the brain. So that's where we had the opportunity to actually get this right.
Yeah, and we see that stress goes down in age, and we see also more increasing stress. We have been working for this now for 11 years, and we can see it gets a little bit worse for every year, that more people get stressed and younger people are stressed as well. So that's something we need to do something about.
That's really symptomatic. Thank you so much. I got a quite clear picture how this hyperactive and stressed work style leads to underperformance and low productivity. But now I wonder, how can we address this issue? What are the alternatives out there?
Yes, we can see that there are clearly different options that organizations choose today, trying to fix this problem. And the most common one is actually to be very passive. So you actually don't make any choices. So you let it up to the individual to choose when to work from home and when to work from the office and so on. So that's one choice, to wait the storm out.
To do nothing.
Yeah.
Second option?
A common option that we see and has been around for a long time now is to adjust the physical workplace. So you focus a lot. The entry point will be to change in the concept of the physical environment. And after the pandemic, we can see that the hybrid work environment, working from home, working from anywhere, and working at the office, is the focus in these projects. Usually driven by the facility management, which means that you have a lot of focus and investments also on the physical work environment. So the positive thing is that you actually think about what could support the individuals, but in the change journey it becomes confusing for the individual usually, because it's so much about the physical workplace.
Let's stop for a second this workplace environment. After the pandemic started, most of us at least, have an option to work either from home or from the office. And what is your opinion? Is the productivity better when we work from home or when we are surrounded by our colleagues and we have more of a teamwork?
Yeah, very good question. And productivity is a complex thing. So the perceived productivity is usually higher when you work from home, from the individual side. But also loneliness. And if you look at the total productivity, it's so complex. So it's more about you need to find the right pattern in the collaboration also to be able to reach productivity. What do you think, Nils?
And it's also a risk. I've heard quite a lot when we're working from home. We also increase that we work in silos. So we have been talking at least the last 10 years about cross-functional collaboration, that we need to collaborate more over the organization. And if we're working from home, there's an obvious risk that we are emailing a few people, having meetings with a few people, but we are actually increasing the silo mentality in companies. So we need to be hybrid. Probably we need to be both. So go for productivity is one thing, but what about creativity and collaboration? So it's a really complex question that everyone talks about these
and the
days.
hybrid work style is my personal preference, so I agree with you. The third option
third option is go to the other extreme, which is linked to this, because that's kind of the other side. You talk about, we focus on the digital ways of working, or the digital first option. And it makes sense too, because the digital work environment is always here. We have our tools with us wherever we are, right? And we can connect to people and information all the time. So the digital first choice makes a lot of sense, and you need to create, you need to develop the way of working and the collaboration, especially to be more like a digital work environment. So that's the aim and the focus in the more digital focus. The risk is, though, that you focus so much on digital adoption into new tools and functions, and you still let the organization and the people in the organization choose whatever they want. And maybe the risk is that you don't have a good way of working in the new environment. And what we can see is that the new communication platforms, for example, they are much faster than the old ones. So we usually hear comments like, today it's emails on steroids. It goes very fast and it becomes even more reactive. And you need to understand that in both cases you add a lot of choices to the individual and the leader in the organization, and that's actually increasing the complexity for the human being. taking even more mental resources, right? So you usually need to, and that's actually the fourth choice, or the third active choice, to start from the human side and really try to understand what are the issues we are trying to solve with the new workplace and way of working strategy. So it's the starting point that you need to look at.
You mentioned human side, and that's often something we forget in the modern work environment. It's a lot of focus, as you said, Jerker, on the digital. We add new digital tools, and no matter how good they are and effective per se, they can add to this stress that we start discussing at the beginning. But when it comes to the human side, what is you and people working in your field paying attention to? Is it the brain? Is it our feelings, our social needs, or something else?
It's you once again pointing at a complex question here, but it seems to be easier to invest in a new digital tool or try to get a smarter office. That's an easier decision than start working with human beings. And of course, we are both our feelings and our clever thinking and so on.
I really like this human-centric approach and implementing neuroscience in the work environment. But I wonder, is it really possible to apply it in a hectic work environment?
Very good question. And important to say that every try to do this is not successful. So you need to understand that when you enter this from the human side, it's actually about human beings. And human beings are not machines or buildings. So it's a difference, which is very important to understand. What we have discovered when it works during the years working with this is a few principles that we have seen has been around, so to speak, as leading stars when you achieve a good result in this kind of change journey. And the first one, which is maybe the foundation linked to the brain, is to and fixes the problem or addresses the problem that we talked about in the beginning, is to be more focus optimized when you in the way of working approach. So you need to apply you need to prioritize attention more in the day-to-day work. So instead of jumping on the next chat all the time that comes in, you actually stay in focus and you finish what you are doing, or we are finishing this discussion until we have the decision. So that's examples of focus optimizing.
But to come back to the drawing you made at the beginning of this conversation, how to find the focus when we are literally bombarded from everywhere, thousands mails per day, chats, colleagues coming and asking questions. Should we learn how to prioritize or how to maybe ignore? What is the solution?
Yeah, you need to find the balance, and this is the biggest probably human development side of this kind of change, is that you as an individual needs to be stronger in balancing your work day, so to speak, and make decisions around where you put your attention. So it's going from you are coming from a more reactive working pattern to a more proactive one. We call it self-management. So you actually increase the self-management. You cannot every time during a day sit yourself at the steering wheel in a more disciplined way, you could call it. So directing your attention in the way you want, being proactive in that's the link between the neuroscience and the actual work. So if you just know a lot of things about the brain, that will not help you if you cannot link it to your behaviors and mindsets in the workplace.
And you mentioned the first principle, that's focus. Magnus, you mentioned the third one, common playing ground. What is the second one?
It's the self-management. You need a strong self-management as the foundation. And just to add to the common playing field is that is really a management responsibility. So the leader, usually when we do this change journeys, the leaders needs to go first and understand these principles, because otherwise you will not succeed.
All the managers listening maybe don't like this, but they can also be a part of the problem. so and also then a part of the solution.
I'm sure that most of employees see manager as a problem and don't look deep into themselves. Are there any more principles?
Yes, working out loud. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yes, working out loud is a really interesting principle. We have heard for many, many years, I think even when we started, that we need to do a more of cross-functional collaboration. We need to collaborate more effectively in our organizations. And for that, we need to be more open and work openly. And in that way, we can include people better. So we can, if we, for instance, hire new people and we want to get them included in the company, and maybe we have a few bottlenecks that I can start to solve. If we work openly, it's much easier to get people on board quicker. And today, when we have a lot of information in our inboxes and in different areas, it's difficult for a new employee to know how we are working and where are the stuff that I need to actually contribute. So if we start work more openly, we get more inclusion, we get more learning, because we need to learn quicker today. But what we hear when we talk to people is, I don't have time to learn new things or work with development because I'm stuck in meetings or in the inbox in other areas. So working out loud is a really important principle to understand.
Fifth principle, what is that one?
Yes, one of the major issues today is that we are switching context all the time, and we have been into this many times now, that we're switching too quick between tasks or even try to multitask sometimes. But that's a large price that we are paying. So we are losing our smartness when we're trying to switch between context. We are also losing a lot of time, and we're losing a lot of energy. So we need to get back into clearer contexts, and we need to know what context I'm in. So the fifth principle is about creating a context-based collaboration. So we need to build both our digital tools on clear context and how we communicate, because a lot of what we're doing today is communicating all the time. So if I know what I'm communicating about, and I can find all the material I need on that context in the same place, that will really free up a lot of mental energy for knowledge work.
There's a big gap today between the strategy and the goals that you set in an organization and the activity going on an everyday basis. And what we have seen here, read about, tried out, so we have proven this in reality really, is that when you visualize progress or processes which has progress and priorities for the team and for the organization, you actually get aligned on the priorities as a team. So you get attention on the right things, and you also can create a cadence of progress in the team with celebration built into it. So when you on Friday you follow up on your priorities for the week, and you can see that you actually work together in the same direction. You want that next week too. So that's a very important principle. So visualizing the actual progress of work, not just a lot of information. So very important.
And these 6 brain-based principles are the core of your work, if I understood well.
Yeah, we use them as challenge. We use them to challenge with, and as guiding stars. And of course, different organizations are leaning or have different needs. So some organizations have a high degree of self-management, and you don't need to work as much with that. So it's more like a few guiding stars that can challenge and inspire you on the journey.
Are there some specific types of organizations that are more applicable for your model, or is it widely applicable model?
You could say that the most projects we have done is in organization that have the pressure of interruption in some or disruption in some way. So they need to change. They need to change the way they work. So that's if you feel that pressure, we need to work in a more agile or more effective way in the future. That could be one good trigger to raise the motivation to do the journey. But on the other side, I would say that most important is that you have a ambitious leader and sponsor in the project, because this comes down to leadership, walk the talk. You need to show the way. You need to be prepared to also do mistakes as an executive in this project, and be vulnerable in one way actually when you are in the change. So it's more executive behaviors than just decisions.
So just to summarize it, these 6 principles are the core of your work and your model. And how do you now work with your clients? How do you apply this model in a real work environment that is, as we already said, hectic, stressed, and overwhelming for most of us?
In order to make this simple to start with, we have set this into 4 different stages of a process, and that is to make it both without any big risk, and to make it effective, and also make it sustainable.
And then we go into pilot, and the next phase is implementation, and then integration. And the discovery needs to be, it's where you open up and get inspired about what is actually possible for our new ways of working, or the future ways of working. You need to align in the right group in the organization around what are we actually trying to fix. So what are the present state, and also what, if we set a direction right now from the beginning, what should we aim for? So a quick and effective discovery phase, usually just a workshop with a few interviews and maybe a survey, but very quickly through that, and then go into the first pilot phase, or the first pilot iteration, where you make it real. So the faster we can try new things out for real in the organization with the right group, we start building experience from inside and out, and then you can keep on building from that into the implementation phase.
So your client get first the theoretical knowledge at the beginning through the workshop sessions, and then they try to apply it themselves, or are you coaching them through that process as well?
So we apply process guidance and trainings and so on. So we help them pretty much in the beginning, but if we have like the perfect process, we find ambassadors and champions in the organization that can actually lead and show the way going through. So we want the organization to build the change process by themselves in the end. Yeah.
How long is this phase?
Which one?
This second one,
the
when they're
pilot
trying
phase.
pilot phase, exactly.
It could be like 2 to 6 months, depending on how big group they want to work with from the beginning.
And then after the pilot phase is completed, what comes after that?
Then you start to iterate kind of the same thing, but you have more knowledge and more experience into the implementation phase. So then you plan for what groups in the organization are the highest priority, where do we need to start, or do we have any risks with certain groups in the organization? So you apply it in a conscious way and iterate, so you keep on building the new ways of working, so to speak. And the last phase, when you come into integration, is to make sure that you reinforce the most important new behavior, so you get stickiness, so to speak, in when you work with human beings. So then it goes over into some kind of ownership inside the organization. it's actually not a project. It starts with a project, but it goes over into a change journey that goes on forever, if you want to see it like that.
Yeah, that was my next question. How long is the whole process, including all 4 phases? Is it always the same length, or differentiating from the company to company?
That's a little bit for the discovery to discover otherwise, because we want to tailor-made this so we get the right solution for the right company. And all companies are different, and people among the companies are also different. So it's tailor-made, but with a good effect and without any risk, I would say. But that's why the discovery is so important to start with.
And how quickly your clients see the effect of the program? Is it the immediate effect, or do they need to complete the whole program in order to see the real effects?
You get tangible results pretty quickly, and that's why we do the pilot as quickly as possible, because then you see results in that group that you apply the pilot with. So very quick results, and then you can, by experiencing the results, you can actually you can adjust the process, the next phase of the process from there, and aim for. It's more clear what you aim for in the organization, because the first time you set the goals, what you are aiming for, it's kind of abstract still. So we want to work in a new way. We want transparency. We want different things. But what does that actually mean when it comes down to behaviors and mindsets? That's still to discover in the next phase. Employer branding, employee engagement. It's linked to stress and well-being. But most of all, in the end, it's about the company's or the organization's productivity and ability to innovate into the future. So that's important to say. And for the person who takes the initiative, the leader in the organization, that person needs to be ambitious about being a role model in this process. And that doesn't mean that you need to be perfect and have all the answer. It's more on the other hand. You need to be open to try things out and actually be a bit vulnerable in the process going forward. So not for the person looking for a quick fix, just make a decision and hope that the consultants will fix the organization for me. That's not the person that this will work for.
And I'm sure that after this conversation, many people would like to get in contact with you and see if this model is the right for their organization. How can they do that?
It's very easy to reach us. They can follow us on LinkedIn and reach us directly there, or just send us an email.
Thank you so much for this conversation, and I really hope that future workplaces will be more human-centric and based on brain research, because it seems like technology goes very fast, but we humans are somehow forgotten in this whole quick development.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To summarize it, you can't expect an effect by investing in only one segment of your workplace, whether it's digital tools, training for your employees, or better offices. In order to achieve high productivity and high satisfaction level at your workplace, you need to take a holistic approach into account, as well as how our brains work. Because at the end, it is about proud and happy people doing real work.